Hey producers, what's good? It's your host TPLAY, and today I'm going to be showing you guys how to make beat video thumbnails in Affinity Photo. Okay, so step one is we are going to go to Google Images and we're going to find a PNG of a rapper or producer or whoever we're trying to make a quote-unquote type beat for, and we're going to use that image in the thumbnail that we're making. So I have a beat that I need to make a thumbnail for, so that's what we're going to do. We're going to do Migos PNG. And then you want to find the biggest image you can that fits the criteria, so that way if you have to scale it down or make it a little bit bigger, you don't have to distort the image as much. So we're going to go to Tools, Size, Large, and then what we want is we're going to look for one that has a white background initially right here, but when you click on it, it's going to have this checkered background. This one doesn't have it, so let's see. See, it's got this checkered background and it's just his face right here, but that's not the one that I want to use. So let's see if this one has it. Okay, cool. So it's got this checkered background. So what that means is whenever you throw it into Photoshop, Affinity, or Gimp or something like that, that the background won't actually show up. So what we're going to do is we're going to right click, gonna save the image as, name it whatever you want. I already have it downloaded right here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to open up Affinity Photo. And I'm gonna hit File, New, and then you're gonna set your page width to 1920 and then your page height to 1080. Okay, so the next step we're gonna take is we're going to import the image and we're going to make sure that the image is scaled correctly, and then after that's done, we're going to make the image black and white. So we're gonna go back over here to Google. I'm gonna go to, I guess I need to make this smaller, and I'm gonna grab this PNG image and I'm just gonna drag it right onto the canvas. I'm gonna close that. I'm gonna minimize this, move this over. Now what I'm gonna do is, if you have this hand tool, if you're in Affinity, you can't select anything, you can just kind of move the canvas around. So the first thing you need to do is click your select tool, click on them, kind of get them kind of in the center, and then make them just a touch bigger and a little bit wider. And you can kind of see in this little screen down at the bottom how it's gonna look like when it's smaller. So I maybe wanna bring that down a little bit. Then you can, I'm gonna bring it down just a touch more. Right click, and then align center. So now it's perfectly aligned with the size of the canvas. The next thing you're going to do is you're going to click on your hue level or your saturation or whatever it is, and you're going to click black and white. It's going to make them black and white. Simple, easy, ready for the next step. Okay, so the next thing we're going to do is we're going to add a new layer. We're going to merge the black and white layer with the Migos picture so that it doesn't affect anything else. And then we're going to change the blend mode to something that we can still see the Migos behind, but it still looks good. So first thing we're going to do, let's just add this or move this adjustment layer and merge those layers like that, so that way it doesn't affect anything else. Then we're going to click on the Migos picture. We're going to go to a new layer. It's going to create a pixel layer, and then you have a couple options with this. You can just do a solid color. So just with the paint bucket tool, we can like click yellow over it. Then where this says normal, you have all these different blend modes, and you can just kind of play with it and do whatever you want to do. There's some really cool ones in there. You can just kind of play around with them. So like this color is pretty cool. The color burn is pretty cool. And then you get some really crazy effects too, like this darker colors, like it's almost adding like gold dust on top of them in certain places. And then you have other stuff like this. And you can also you can change the opacity to like kind of blend and change whatever you need to do. So you have a ton of options, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to add a gradient. So you click this little gradient tool right here, and you can just click and drag. I need to change this back to normal. So I can click and drag, and you can add extra nodes to add more colors, but I'm just going to stick with 2. So I'm going to hit Command Z to remove those. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to click the first corner, click like a lime green color, and then click this corner down here and then make like a darker green color, and just kind of play with the balance until I get something that I like. There we go. And then I'm gonna click on this one, and you have these little sliders right here, and I can make this darker so it's kind of bright to dark contrast in the middle. I'm gonna go back and I'm going to click color burn. Okay, for the next step, we have a couple different options. So typically the thumbnails that I'm seeing right now kind of look just like this, and they'll add maybe some text or like the producer logo in the middle, and that'll just be the thumbnail for the beat. What you can do, you can kind of take this a step further and you can bring the amigos up above this pixel layer, and now they're black and white on top of this. You could add text. It just gives it a different contrast of color, so it's not all just like one color essentially, or like shades of the same like green similar to this. So now like the amigos are actually popping out. And if you do that, what you can do is you can go to filters and you go to sharpen, and then if you do 100% sharp, you can kind of play with this, but I just make them 100% sharp just so that they stick out some more. So if I turn this down and you look in the corner, how they're just kind of like muted almost, and then if I bring the sharpen up, their features just kind of stick out a little bit more. So I'm gonna make them sharp, hit apply, drag them back down here, make sure nothing else. So yeah, their colors kind of change as well. So like you can just kind of play with different filters and stuff like that and get some really cool results. But I'm gonna bring them up here so that they're just black and white on a green background. And then what I'm gonna do is I'm going to click this little effects button, and then I like to use this outer shadow feature. Pull the opacity all the way up, bring the radius pretty high, and then bring the intensity to about 26 or so, and just kind of play with it so that they don't look like they just got cut out of something, that there's actually like a little border around them. And then you have all these other things too, so like if you want to throw a color on over them, like maybe red or like whatever you're doing, you can change the opacity. You can do the same thing with like color burn, multiply. You know, you just get really creative with it just so they can stick out some more. But I'm not going to do that for this one. Okay, so from here, what I'm going to do is I'm going to add the rectangle tool, and I'm just going to draw some shapes. And that, I don't know why that's yellow, that's weird. I'm going to zoom out a little bit too. But now what I'm going to do is, it doesn't really matter too much, but I'm just going to align to center just so everything's even. The other thing I'm going to do is I saw that this pixel layer on this side over here was, there was like a little white edge. So I'm just going to make it a little bit bigger around the side so that way I don't get any white edges. So now I've got this square. I'm going to make the fill color black. And then what I'll do is I will hold Alt, click, and use your select tool. Select the rectangle, hold Alt, click, and you can drag this down. I'm just going to make this one smaller. Just like that, probably a little bit smaller too. And then right click, align to center, because it's itty bitty little rectangle I want in the center. Cool. Next, I'm going to add the text. So I'm going to click on a block text. Just drag, click and drag, and you can change the font size. So I'm going to do that right there, and then I'm going to change the fill color right here to white, and then just start typing. So I should get, whoop, that's odd. Click back. Okay, it didn't make a text layer, so I'm going to make a text layer first. Cool. Amigos, type, beat, right click, or actually hold all of it, or highlight all of it, and then right click, alignment, center. And then what I can do is I can make this bigger so it's legible on smaller screens. And then what I'll do is I'll change this to a different font that I like to use. And then right click, shift, and the beat's name was called Era. And then just kind of stretch it out to fit in this little small one, and then right click, align to center. There you go. Now some other stuff you can do to just kind of spice this up a little bit would be like maybe adding like era as some like repeating text. I'm not going to do that because it'll take too much time, but what I can do is I'll change the fill color to black, and I don't want to click there, I want to click right here, and so I'll just type era and then do that, then hold Alt, do that on a new layer that just got created, change the opacity to like 90, and then that would just go on and on from there until it just kind of like fades out towards the bottom. The title era though isn't really long enough to do that with, so I wouldn't really try to do that with that. So maybe use like your producer name or something else like that. Let's see, get rid of these. Another thing you can do is like take the rectangle tool and just kind of go around the edges and create like a border. And then you can click the select tool and then right click and duplicate it. And then what you can do is you should be able to hold shift and select 2 and then right click, align to center. Okay, not what I wanted to do. Just kind of make sure that the rectangles on the bottom and the rectangles on the side are even, so it doesn't look weird. And you can just kind of eyeball it and get it pretty close, just like that. So even if the bottom ones are thinner or the side ones are wider, you'll be okay as long as the bottom ones are match and then the side ones match. If you're not confident doing that, what you can do as well, you can hit delete, 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 and then what you can do is proportionally shrink this, put this kind of like right there, make the edges where you want them to be, and then you can click this effects button and go to outline, click on outline, and then you can fill it like that and it'll just be even. Okay, so the last thing you need to do is you would need to go up to file and you need to go to export and make sure that your file size is definitely still at 1920 by 1080 and either select JPEG or PNG, and then you click export, you name it whatever you want on your computer, and you could go ahead and upload this whenever you get your beat video done for YouTube. Okay guys, so we're pretty much finished, so hopefully this video helped you guys out, and if it did, please be sure to subscribe for more content like this. If this helped you out, make sure you like the video as well. Till next time, just remember, you gotta stand out to be heard, and this is TPLAY signing off, so peace.